What's up, Bulldogs? All right, this is gonna be a bit of a longer video as I am gonna be breaking down a email that I got from a guy that feels like there's something wrong with him in terms of interacting with women. He has a lot of issues with his mother. We're gonna talk about that, and I'm gonna tell you why, even though you may think there's something wrong with you. You may think that compared to other guys that you've got some kind of issue, but there's not. There's probably nothing wrong with you, okay? It's probably in your head. And you're probably facing the exact same situation that most men are facing today, and you don't even know it. If you guys are just joining me for the first time, I'm John from Bulldog Mindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man. I teach you how to build financial independence, how to get the physique you want, how to get the girls you want, how to go from the victim mindset to the Bulldog mindset. If that sounds like something you're interested in, smash the subscribe button, join us, click the bell so you get notifications. And if you've been here for a while, of course, I would appreciate the like for the YouTube algorithm, even though the algorithm doesn't care about little people like me anymore. But if you haven't already, also take the Bulldog quiz. It's up here in the cards. There's a link down below. It'll give you your score from 0 to 100. Tell you if you're a Bulldog or not. All right, so we're going to jump right into this here. He says, hello, I'm a 27-year-old law student on the East Coast going into my final year of law school. I've been really struggling with women in dating for a while now, and I'm wondering if there's a deeper issue behind this pattern of feeling constantly rejected by women, okay? When I was 15, my parents officially divorced as my mom had a terrible midlife crisis and cheated on my dad after 30 years of marriage. All right, my dad is a doctor, good man, and treated my mom well and gave her basically whatever she wanted. I walked in on my mom with another man when I was 14, and they weren't engaged in having sex at that moment, but they were both sleeping naked next to each other, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out what happened, okay? All right. After that event, for a long time, I wondered if it was a big deal walking in on my mom with another man or whether I was exaggerating the impact of that event. Looking back, it was, of course, extremely traumatic and emotionally devastating to see something like that. All right, about 5 months later, my parents officially divorced, and in the 12 years since, I've seen my mom 3 to 4 times. My mom divorce raped my father after 30 years of dad being faithful and working so hard to provide for her, and it completely devastated my father emotionally and financially. Ever since then, my mother has been living overseas trying to, quote, find herself and living a very selfish lifestyle, dating various men. Along the way on my father's dime, my mother usually texts me maybe every 4 to 5 months. But other than that, that's basically it. At times, I feel like if my mother died, it wouldn't be any different than now. I, of course, take ultimate responsibility for what happens in my life and my actions, but I feel my relationship with my mother is probably having an effect on my relationship with women. I feel totally rejected by women, and this is really harming my quality of life and mental health. Do you think my relationship with my mother could be negatively affecting my relationship with women? If so, what would be your advice? Thanks. Okay, so there's a second email that he sent. That was the first email, okay, and I had responded back to that. But let's talk about this. Let's address this issue, because I think a lot of you guys are sort of in this area where you think that there's something that happened in your life, some trauma that you experienced in life is defining who you are now. In fact, there's a really good book called The Courage to Dislike, okay? I highly recommend you read that book. I'll put some links here. I'll put a link in the description as well. And in that book, it talks about this idea that your past does not define you, okay? That a lot of times what we want to do is we want to blame our past and our trauma in our past to define who we are today. And when you have that viewpoint, then you're basically confined by your past. So now, could it affect you? Of course it could affect you. So, this gentleman here with his mother, that probably affected him. It probably affected him in a lot of ways, emotionally, in perhaps in dealing with women and trust for women. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's a negative impact. And see, what I think a lot of guys are looking for is they're looking for a way to blame their life on something that happened to them. And they're looking to do that with common experiences that we all struggle with. Okay, so we're going to get into this, the second part of the email here, but I wanted to give you this, even though this was long, just to lay a background here so you can understand what he thinks he's dealing with and how, you could replace the story here with what happened with his mother with whatever your problem is. You didn't have a dad, you had an abusive family growing up, you didn't have money, you were whatever race and were picked on or bullied or bigot, or you had to deal with bigots and racists or whatever in school. Whatever sad story that you have, replace it with the one here, even though I'm ugly, or I'm short, all of those things, you can replace it here, because I want you to understand how this is not going to define you, and how this is a common experience. Okay, so in the second email, after I'd emailed him back, I asked him some follow-up questions, and he said, "Hey John, thanks for getting back to me. I'm surprised you responded. Haha. Growing up in my teenage years and early 20s, I struggled with social anxiety, even though in other areas I was very successful." Okay, so again, I asked him to like give me a description of what was going on with him. And guess what? Do you struggle with social anxiety? I do. I did. Okay, maybe not so much anymore. From time to time, I would say that I would still be uncomfortable in some situations. I'm working on, I'm getting better at. There's probably less of those than most people, but it still exists to some degree. But my point is that you probably struggling with social anxiety. Okay, that's fine. It's a perfectly normal experience. It's not because his mother did whatever she did that he's struggling with social anxiety. Okay, and you can be successful in a lot of areas of your life and then think that that's a problem, but it's not a problem. It's a common thing. If you have not actually overcome your social anxiety, you are going to have it. There's very few people, it's rare in life for someone to not have social anxiety. Most of the time, the people that you see that seem to not have it are the people who have worked to overcome it. Okay, but you start off not having that ability. All right. I was in Division I college athlete and successful in my sport in my region of the country, but I would get incredibly nervous and anxious around women. Again, common behavior, okay? You can be successful as an athlete, but you're going to be nervous. In fact, I have a lot of friends of mine that work in some of the kind of more famous places where a lot of athletes and famous people come in, and they watch these guys try to interact with women, and they're nervous. They don't know what they're doing. They're like trying to buy girls things and giving them like all these compliments because they don't know. They don't have any real game. They don't know how to interact. They still have social anxiety. They haven't overcome it, even though they're a professional athlete making a lot of money, or they're or they're famous in some way. Okay, so let's talk about the next thing here. So he says, in college, in particular, I would get very afraid in social situations, especially public speaking and talking to girls I was attracted to. Again, pretty common, right? I've heard this from thousands of guys. Over the years, I've gotten better at overcoming these fears for sure, but I definitely still have them. Okay, again, same. All right. In college, I caught one-itis very badly for a particular girl. And when she eventually rejected me and ghosted me, it brought up all the old wounds of childhood trauma and rejection. Okay. So again, another relatable thing here, right? So you're going to develop one-itis if you haven't already. Okay. And, if you do end up getting with the girl that you have one-itis for, most of you will probably experience that at some point. She's probably going to reject you because you are a little bitch, unfortunately. Like you don't know how to be a man yet. Okay. You haven't learned that. You only had one real interaction with the woman, and you were obsessed about her. You put her on a pedestal, and of course she lost attraction for you. And so, you're going to feel rejected. You're going to feel like, this brings up all the old childhood rejection that you've gone through. Okay. I've gone through that same experience. You're going to go through that experience, but it's all part of life and it's all normal. Okay. So let's move on here. He says, at the age of 27, I've never had a girlfriend, even though I wanted one for a while. I'm also a virgin, but I'm coming at it from a different perspective. I'm Catholic and my faith is very important to me, and I'm waiting until marriage to have sex. So a couple things I'll say about this, right? So, being 27, never having a girlfriend. Okay, so that's a little bit out of the normal, all right? But it's not completely today. I think today that is far, far more common than most guys will admit. But I get the emails, I hear from you guys, and a lot of you guys are in a similar situation. I won't say most of you guys, but a lot of you are, pretty close to this. Okay, if not this, pretty close to this. So nothing wrong with it. Again, if you haven't actually taken the steps today to go forward and to really go out there and go after what you want in terms of women, you're probably not going to get a girlfriend. You're probably not going to get laid. Like it's not just going to happen magically. Okay. Maybe in the past it seemed like that was the case, but I think also guys just generally had more balls than they weren't always on their phones, right? They had to go out and talk to people, and you just had a lot more social skills back then. So let's go further on. He says, so my goal is not to get laid or to have one night stand, but to find a virtuous woman who I can get married to. I know this sets me apart from other guys, so I just wanted to bring that up. So not really. I mean, sort of, it does, but there's plenty of guys that are thinking the same thing. And all of you guys that are thinking this, you need to you need to forget about this, okay? I'm not anti-religious, all right? But like the whole concept of saving yourself till marriage in this day and age, the way that society is today, it's something that is probably not going to work out. Okay. I'm not saying that it can't work out. And again, I'm not trying to knock anyone who has these kind of religious beliefs, but I'm just saying that in all practicality, the reality is that women are more promiscuous than ever. Okay. So for you to think that you're just going to like pluck some virtuous woman out of the sea of women, out of harlots, let's say, is pretty naive. Okay. Like you're going to have experience with women in order to be able to actually figure out what kind of woman that you want, to be able to also not be manipulated, to basically be at her same level of social skills in order to be able to compete. Otherwise you're just going to get whooped. Okay. That's just what's going to happen. And you're not going to know. You're not going to be able to pick a virtuous woman out of, all these women, because they're going to pretend. They're going to lie to you. They're going to be selling you purity, but that's not going to be the case. And it's also not so important. Okay. Again, like what is important is where people are now, not where they've been. I mean, where they've been can give you an indication of who they likely are, but it's not always accurate. You got to really evaluate where people are right now. Who are they right now? As opposed to, where have they been? Because a lot of people are going to make mistakes, especially today. It's much easier to make mistakes. All right. So your goal really should be to develop some experience with women. That's what I would say for you guys. Okay. If you don't have experience, you cannot expect to have a good result with women. You're going to have a very bad result. Okay. You need a lot of experience, in fact. In the past year, I've been getting more bold with women and simply asking them out, which has led me to going on 5 dates in the past year, which is a vast improvement over the past several years before that. Okay, so obviously, whatever you're doing works. If you're being bold and you're asking them out and now you're getting dates, okay, you can multiply that. So if you did twice as much, you'd have 10 dates. If you did 3 times as much, you'd have 15. If you did 4 times as much, you'd have 20. Okay, so to that degree, it's a numbers game. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that it's all just a numbers game, but I'm saying for whatever you're doing and the results you're getting, it's a numbers game. So you can increase those numbers if you want to. Okay. Now it says, however, these dates haven't gone anywhere. And when these dates end up going nowhere, I feel hurt and rejected. Okay. So I went on a date with a girl I really liked back in February, and I thought the date went well, but she eventually rejected me. And I have severe one-itis for her to the point where I think about her every day and feel depressed whenever I think about her. Okay. So let me just talk about this. Okay. For you guys, if a date goes nowhere, all right, why are you going to feel hurt and rejected? See, you're the one who's responsible for the date going somewhere. So a lot of you guys, I think the problem is what you think. Okay, you think that if you just do the right things, that good things will happen to you. And that's not true. Okay, just asking a girl out and going on a date, like it doesn't automatically lead to the next step. Like life doesn't flow that way, right? It would be great if things just magically happened, right? It'd be great if I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to create a YouTube channel for fun. I'm just going to make videos for fun, and then we'll see what happens. And then, that'd be great, except that I wouldn't have a Bulldog Mindset membership. Okay. I wouldn't have coaching clients. I wouldn't be making money off of the business. It's just not magically going to happen. Okay. Maybe if I grew to a super large channel and just was getting ad revenue, but things don't magically happen in your life. Okay. So you've got to take the steps to make it happen. So if you're on a date with a girl and it's not happening, why is it not happening? It's your fault. Like, you need to be pushing it one way or the other. She needs to either be like, hey, I'm not into you like that, or she needs to be going home with you. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to be pushing things to a point, pushing people to a decision, actually taking control and making what you want happen in life. That's why you're getting these mediocre results, a lot of you guys. But again, this is a common problem. Okay. Most guys I talk to, they have this exact same problem. They go out on dates. The dates don't go anywhere. Okay. I talk to girls. I do some coaching and girls tell me, oh, these guys, I go on dates with them and they're so boring. They're asking me about like stupid questions. Then they're whining to me about some other girl they dated or some shit like that. And I'm like, whoa, they're forgetting the number one rule. Like, what's that? It's got girls just want to have fun. So if you're not having fun, if you're not making fun happen, well, then what do you expect? All right. But again, common problem, guys. The whole one-itis thing here, obviously I know this is irrational, ridiculous, but at the same time, the emotions run extremely deep and I feel devastated inside. I know this is and sounds ridiculous over a girl I went on one date with, but this is where I feel my relationship with my mother and childhood trauma might be exasperating this. So again, this is probably one of the main reasons why I made this video, even though this has been kind of long. So thanks for bearing with me here, but it's because of things like this. Okay. It is not ridiculous to have one-itis and to think about a girl that you went on a date with once every single day. It's not ridiculous. I did it. Okay. I did that in my past. All right. Half of the guys that are listening to this video, they're doing it now. Okay. To some degree. All right. Or they've definitely done it in the past. All right. It is a common experience. There's very few guys that haven't done this. All right. Especially when you're not getting success. This goes back to why I said you've got to be going out there. You got to be dating a lot of women. You got to be getting a lot of experience with women so that you don't have this. Because if you have abundance, if you're like, well, this is just one date, but I've got 2 more this week, it's going to be really hard for you to be like, oh, but that one girl, she was just so perfect and so great and the only one for me, and thinking about her every day. You're just not going to have time to be thinking about her every day. You see what I'm saying? You're going to realize that she's not special. No girl is special and every girl is special. See, this is what you guys have to understand, because like the world is telling you that this one girl is special. Okay. And so there's a bunch of guys that are telling you that no girls are special, which is not true. Okay. Every single girl is special, but no girl is special above all the other girls. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that in order for you to really come full circle as a man, okay, and not be just one dimensional, you have to realize that no girl in particular is special, but you have to find the special uniqueness, the unique flower that is each girl, so that you can be that seducer, so you can be that man that is attractive to women, because women want to feel like they're special. Okay, so you make the girl special. You are what imbues that into her to make her special, is what you find in her. Your discovery of her makes her special. That's what a girl wants to feel. She wants to feel like you're unwrapping her, like you're opening her to you, and you're discovering this forbidden fruit. That's what she wants to really feel. Okay. So this is a common experience. This is pretty normal for guys to go through this, but you have to get over this. And the way you get over this is by, like I said, going out, talking to other women, being detached, realizing that no girl is special, but all girls are special. When you really internalize that, then you'll get over that. Okay. Now he says, inside, even though I don't know how to, don't show it on the outside, I feel desperate for female validation approval, which is obviously very unhealthy. True. It's very unhealthy. But again, is this a common experience? Have I gone through this? Yes. Are a lot of you guys that are watching this going through this right now? Yeah. Are you denying it? Some of you? Yeah, you're denying it. Okay. I denied it at some point, but a lot of you guys are seeking female validation and approval. And until you get enough of it, which honestly, there's never enough, but until you get enough of it to the point that you discover that there's never enough and you decide that it's not so important to you, no one is going to convince you otherwise. So you're going to have to go through that. You're going to have to experience that in life. This is a common thing. Again, this is why I say, yeah, maybe what happened to him with his mother had something to do with this, but not really, because I hear this every single day, because all of these issues that he brought up are completely common issues that most of you probably have struggled with or are struggling with. Okay. All right. So let's jump to the last section here. And he says here, so I think this is connected most likely to my mother abandoning me and maybe wanting her approval on a subconscious level. Rationally, this makes no sense, but emotions are all messed up over a girl who I don't even know that well and is emotionally hurting me, and also just a complete waste of time and energy. What would be your biggest piece of advice? Thanks again for your help. I appreciate it. So again, I have to say, I don't think it has so much to do with the mom. All right. I don't believe in a lot of that traditional psychology and rooting it back to childhood traumas and all that shit. It's fine. Maybe it affects, some of who you have become, but it doesn't define who you are. And the reason why I say this is because these are the exact struggles that every single guy goes through. Okay. They just find some reason why to blame it on something that makes them unique. Okay. It's not because your mother abandoned you. Okay. It's not because you're ugly. It's not because you're short. It's not because you got picked on. It's not because you have Asperger's or some bullshit like that. It's just because it's part of being a man and growing up and becoming a man is facing all of this shit. Like, this is what life is. Okay. All of these things that you saw here in this email, you could probably relate to a majority of them. I could relate to all of them. Okay. Because it's the common shared life experience that we experience as men, but we don't like to admit to. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with you. All right, so my advice would be this. This is what I would say. All right, is stop worrying about so much stuff. Stop thinking that there's something wrong with you. Okay, go out there and get some real experience with women. All right, go out there and actually do that. Okay, don't worry about the implications of it. Don't worry about your goals and your plans to find one virtuous woman to spend the rest of your life with. That's fine. You can do that later. Okay, right now you need to cure the problem that you have. Okay, because how are you going to find one virtuous woman that you're going to spend the rest of your life with if you can't even find one non-virtuous woman to date you? You see what I'm saying? So you've got to do some work. You've got to be able to actually have a selection to choose from, because a lot of guys, they think they're making a choice, but see, a choice without options is not a choice. So you got to have options in order to have a choice. So in order to have standards and to be choosy and to, pick the right girl, so to speak, you need to have options. So if you don't have options, you don't have a choice. So let's make some options first of all. Okay. And then the last thing I would say is again, it comes back down to understanding that this is just how life is and what you're going to go through in life. All right. This is okay. Right. What I want you to know is that other guys are going through the same exact experience, and they have to, and you have to, and there's nothing wrong with you. And so just enjoy this, just enjoy that. This is part of life. And this is part of growing and becoming a man, is going through this, facing the fears, facing the rejection, becoming stronger. This is all part of your process of growth. So don't think of it as a negative thing. Think of it as something that you must go through in order to get there. Right. I'm training for a 100-mile race, and I had to run yesterday, a 16-mile run with no food or anything. And I had run an 18-mile run the previous day and a 14-mile run the previous day. And it was already hard to run the 18-mile day the previous day because I was just dead. I mean, and when I woke up to run my 16 miles, I was completely dead. I could hardly even run 2 miles, but I had to do 16, and I did it. And I did it because I know that it's what I have to go through, right? I know that if I want to be able to run my 100 miles, I have to go through that shit that I had to face with that 16-mile run. It was never going to be easy. So when I realize it's shit that I have to go through in order to get to where I want to get, that there's no other way around it, then I'm willing to go through it. So the same thing here. So you need to just view this as shit that you have to do. You have to go through this. You have to feel uncomfortable. You have to have that social anxiety, because that's part of it. But now you have to go and face it and overcome it. If you guys haven't already, check out the Bulldog Mindset membership. There's a link in the cards up above, and there's a link in the description below. $7 for the first month, and then $29 a month. Continuing on, you have access to the Discord server, to the Facebook group, to ask me questions on there, the live Q&A, book club, all that kind of stuff, and a great group of guys, great community. Go check it out, and I'm sure that you're gonna love it. All right, so. What have you guys learned from this? What can we say about this whole thing? This is what I would say, okay? There's nothing wrong with you. It's totally normal, okay? This is a shared experience that you're gonna have to go through, and you're gonna have to decide as a man, do you want to take to the next level? Do you want to face these things? Or are you going to say, all this shit is wrong with me, it's something that happened to me when I was young, it's my mother's fault, it's someone else's fault, it's this girl's fault who broke my heart? Are you going to blame the world and society and all those things and stay where you are? Or are you going to face the stuff that you have to face and overcome it? That's the question you need to ask yourself, and that's what I want you to tell me in the comments below.